NaNoJouMo, the journal version, art journal version of NaNoWriMo. This is day 2, and the inspirational quote for today is "Life is free," and I will be creating a page in my journal for day 2. Enjoy. This is Dago Art Traditions texture medium that I will be using. Sorry, I don't know my right from my left. To create some texture on my page. I'm just going to dump it on. And I am using a palette knife to just spread it around. And I'm going to want a fairly heavy layer of the texture medium on here. This is not nearly enough for what I want to do. So I'm going to squeeze a lot on there. And again, just running it around with the palette knife. Trying to keep my head out of the camera view. I'm sorry about that. Just getting a good layer down. Not too thick, but you don't want it too thin either. Or at least I don't want it too thin or too thick. And I'm working kind of fast because I want to make sure it doesn't dry out on me. And once I have the nice layer down, I'm taking a piece of watercolor paper and putting it on top. And I'm using watercolor paper because I want a 2-for-1. I don't like wasting supplies. So I'm just smashing it down good there. And then I'm going to pull. And it creates a dreamy texture on the page. I don't know. If I lean it into the light, you can kind of see the texture. You'll be able to see it when I put color on top. And now I'll just use my heat tool to dry. And we can move on. taking my page up so it doesn't stick permanently to the wax paper. It'd be easier to have to deal with later. It's not quite all the way dry yet, so you want to make sure that it's all the way dry, so I'll hit it a little more. That is pretty dry. I'm going to give it a moment to cool off, but while I'm having it cool off, I'm going to rinse my palette knife really quickly. It's just easier to get the mediums off of the tools immediately. So some things I do take a pause to clean off, and I do apologize for that in the video. But we must keep our tools in good repair. Now I'm going to play with some gelatos. Faber-Castell gelatos. They were all the rage recently. And I'm just going to color over randomly, allowing the gelatos to pick up the raised areas on the page. Just random colors, no rhyme or reason for anything I'm doing here other than randomness and color. I like color. I like that the gelatos have that nifty, it's like a tube of lipstick. I can just spin and get more product available to use. Again, I'm just randomly layering colors on. And now I have that all colored in. You can see the rays, there it is. Now I'm going to take some gesso. I'm using Liquitex brand. And I'm going to use that to activate and blend in the colors. Of course, if I can get my bottle open. I'm hoping this works the way that it's supposed to. Haven't done this out of the camera, so, and it is doing exactly what I want it to do, blending in those colors. And by using gesso, we're also going to be making the gelato colors permanent. And I'm just painting it on, the gesso on. No rhyme or reason, again, just activating the colors and getting them in. And this is looking really nice. And I'm scrubbing a little hard because I do want it to cover up the white from the page. And if all the white isn't covered up, that's fine too. I am coloring together so that the colors will blend together. I'm not trying to disseminate from where one color starts and the next color begins, because I want the colors blended and not laying on top of each other in individual rows of color. So we may lose a color or two in the process, which I've lost my light pink. And that's not a problem at all. And again, the gesso not only blends the color, but it makes the gelatos now permanent and no longer a fear of activating them if you get additional wet mediums on it. And here I'm just salvaging the leftover gesso. Try not to waste any supplies. And since now this gesso is lightly tinted with color, it makes a great addition to this page. Here, one of my other art journals. So there. The same reason I use the watercolor paper on top. But let me bring this closer because you can see the beautiful colors now. And if I twist the book, you can see the texture. It's just a very nice page. I'm going to set this to the side and allow it to dry because I'm working with some chippies for my wording. Again, today's inspirational phrase is life is free. And these chippies I have, chipboard letters, will spell that out for me. So, but I'm going to paint them first before I use them. And I'm not going to throw away these little frames. Not that I'll use these today. These are little frames that the letters came in. Not that I'll use these today, but I'm sure down the line I can use them as a stencil or a mask or something. So I'll save these as tools for the future. So we have all of our letters for our phrase, life is free. And the first thing I'm going to do, now that I have my letters separated from their frames, is paint them black. I want them black so that I can add other color, another medium to the top of it. And I'm trying to keep the dots with the eyes just so I'll keep track of my letters. So we just take a paintbrush. Oops. And some black paint. Excuse me for standing in front of the camera. I'm using Blick Mars Black. It is a medium bodied acrylic paint, so it should cover fairly quickly. And I shouldn't have to worry about layering to get the coverage I want. I want the letters to be black. So, rather than fool with a fluid acrylic and have to worry about layers of paint to get it dark enough, I'll go ahead and use the medium bodied paint. And I don't care that the edges are not completely painted in. That just helps with the look, in my opinion. So I'll paint all of the chippies, as they're called. They're referred to black. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. What in an art journal is. I have a tendency to wipe my hands on my pants, and my husband has fussed at me more than once because I've ruined pants that he likes me wearing. Well, he says they're ruined because they have paint on them. I say I'm an artist, and I still wear them. They're only jeans. So now I try to be cognizant of not wiping my hands on my clothing when I get art supplies on them. Hope you like getting your hands messy. If you're going to follow along with me and do your page. I guess if I had some tweezers, which I do have, but it's ridiculous to use in my opinion, I could spare my fingertips from being painted black. That was the towel. I do have a towel on my lap. Okay, okay. And there's just a bit of black dots. So I shall say at least that bit of black too. Now I'm just going to hit the letters with the heat tool to make sure that they're dry. Adding the scraping. Okay. Pardon me 1 second. I need to get a message. Alright, sorry about the pause. My husband is out with the boys, and I wanted to make sure that he remembered to bring something back that I needed him to bring with him. Okay. So now my Life is Free is painted black. And looking very nice, if I do say so myself. I can see them as well. Okay. Life is Free. Now, what I am going to do is use some Deco Art metallic luster. To embellish the letters. The metallic luster from Deco Art comes in 6 different colors. Excuse me. Gold Rush. Hope you can see those colors well. Iced Espresso. Champagne Ice. And Copper Kettle. Black Shimmer. And Silver Spark. And because of the colors on the page that we created with that background, still a little damp, I have to be careful. I am thinking that what's going to make that pop is the Copper Kettle. I think that that's the color that will look nicest against that background on top of the black. So that's the color that I'm going to use today, it's the Copper Kettle. I am curious though, because I am curious. Curiosity kills a cat, you know what they say. What this black would look like, the black shimmer. What would the black shimmer look like on top of the black paint? So since I have this little piece of chippy that came out of the E, I'm going to do a quick experiment here. Paint that little chippy piece right there really quick. And then add some black on top of it. And let's just see together what it'll do. It might look really pretty. It might be what I end up using as opposed to the Copper Kettle. We'll see momentarily. Sorry if I look crazy reaching behind me. But again, no paint left behind. That's a little chippy, and you are to use a soft, dry cloth with the metallic luster. So I have some baby wipes that have lost their moisture, but I don't throw them away because I can use them as soft, dry cloths in applications that require such. I'm going to take a bit of the black. It's a paste with not much smell. I don't try that at home. I smell everything, but I wouldn't suggest that you do. Some things are toxic. And you just buff it on a little. And I just wanted to see what it would look like, because that may be the look that I'm going for. And once you apply the metallic luster, you allow it to dry, and then you take a soft cloth, clean soft cloth, and buff it. And that's what gives it the metallic. And I don't know if you all can see that. It's so little, but the top half is kind of a lighter black than the bottom half of the chippy. And I'm going to put it on the page because I want to see how it looks against the page, or if I want it to pop with the color. And I think that I want it to pop with the color. It looks nice, but not the effect that I'm looking for on such a brightly colored background. I think that I should pop some color on top. So I'll go ahead with the Copper Kettle to color the letter chippy, and sit that back to the side so it can continue to dry. And I'll put these tools away. So again, I don't want to cover the entire blackness of each letter. I like the blackness on it, but I do want to add some pop to each of the letters. So I just take some of this copper kettle and brush it on lightly. Just to highlight the letter. I don't want it all over. I'm sorry. Very awkward me trying to show you guys things close up sometimes. Because I have to reach behind me, but I have to look forward because that's where my computer is. So I can see what I'm showing on the screen. But I just want a little pop of color from the copper on there. On the letters. The E might be better, easier for you to see. Just a little pop of the copper kettle. Okay, I have all my colors and all my letters colored. And now I'm going to set these to the side and give them an opportunity to dry while I hit my page with the heat tool to get that fully dried so then I can then adhere my chipboard letters to the page. So, just quickly move these out of the way. Take my soft cloth and set it to the side so that I can use it again later. And heat this with the heat gun to ensure it's dry. I'm sorry, I'm trying to protect the other side of the page. Make sure I don't overheat my page and ruin this side of the page. Which I happen to think. Now, as I take my trippies are dry. I didn't put that much of the metallic luster on there. To add them to my page, I'm going to first buff them a little where the metallic luster is to get the shine, the metallic shine going. It's really a great effect, and I wish that it would show up better on the camera. But it is a great effect. I'm sorry. I was hearing something behind me. I was trying to figure out what it is. But as I was saying, it's a great effect. And it puts some color onto the chippies without covering it completely. I wanted the black showing because the black is going to pop really nicely against the brightly colored background. This buffing, it just makes that metallic pop. It really does. told you if I want to adhere this with hot glue or with glue dots. I think I'm going to use glue dots. Excuse me. Because I don't feel like fooling with the hot glue strings, and also the hot glue will raise it off of the page some. It won't lay it as flat as the glue dots. So I'm using glue dots that scrapbookers have used for zillions of years. Archival, acid free, all that kind of thing. And this will keep it flat to the page like I'm wanting it, like I laid it out. Have to get the minis out for the S, because I want to make sure that on the S, the two corners are adhered to the page. That'll be an easy place for them to be lifted and pulled off the page. So we will add some minis to the ends to make sure that's secured nicely. Last one. sentiment on Life is Free, which is our prompt for day 2. Bring it closer so you all can see. It has a bit of copper. Just brings it all in together. Gives me plenty of space to journal on the page. But I think I'm adding one last touch to my page before I call it complete. After that, I need my mulatto in black. I want to bring black onto the page, onto the background, to help tie everything in. So I'm just going to do a simple border freehand using my mulatto marker. And I'm not rubbing too hard because I don't want to damage my tip of my marker on the texture that's on the page. So you don't want to rub too hard. And yes, I guess I could have done this with black paint, but it's just so easy, so much easier and faster to use a marker. And I keep, on a scrap piece of paper, I keep pressing the tip of the mulatto marker down to activate the ink and keep it flowing. That's me keeping my marker flowing well by scratching off almost immediately to make sure any texture medium, any gelato, any gesso is off of the tip of the pen, so it doesn't dry on the pen and then cause it not to be a working mark anymore on the pen. You guys know what I mean. And it's better to do it in the middle of your crafting than to wait to the end, because at the end it may be too late. You may have already ruined the mark. I know from experience I have ruined many markers by not taking the time to do a little maintenance. It was all fine until I got on this side, and this side is still a little damp compared to the rest of the project. As you can see, you can just see by the way the marker is laying itself down on this side as compared to the way it laid itself on all the rest of the sides. That is fantastic. And now the page is more complete. This is my page for day 2 of NaNoJouMo. I'm going to do some personal journaling on my page like I do all the time. But I wanted to show you my process, and I'm glad that you joined me for this edition of NaNoJouMo 2013, day 2. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the project.